Jakarta, Indonesia, August 31, 2025. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto has canceled a scheduled trip to China, where he was set to attend a Victory Day parade on September 3rd, marking the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II following Japan's formal surrender. The decision comes as Indonesia grapples with widespread protests that have spread beyond the capital, Jakarta, resulting in significant unrest, including the torching of several regional parliament buildings. The cancellation reflects the severity of the domestic situation, which has become the first major test for Prabowo's nearly year-old administration. Background of the protests. The protests erupted earlier this week in Jakarta, initially sparked by public outrage over lawmakers' pay and allowances. Demonstrators, including labor unions and students, expressed frustration with what they perceive as excessive compensation for parliament members, particularly in light of economic challenges faced by ordinary Indonesians. The situation escalated dramatically on Thursday, August 28, 2025, when a tactical police vehicle struck and killed a 21-year-old online motorcycle taxi driver, Afan Kurniawan, on Pejampongan Street in central Jakarta. This incident fueled public anger, transforming the protests into a broader outcry against government and police actions. By Friday, August 29, 2025, the demonstrations had spread to other regions, with reports of violent unrest in provinces such as West Nusa Tenggara, Pekalongan City in Central Java, and Cirebon City in West Java. Protesters set fire to regional parliament buildings, looted parliamentary office equipment, and clashed with security forces, who responded with tear gas to disperse crowds. In Makassar, the protests turned deadly, with at least 3 fatalities reported amid arson attacks. Local media outlet Detik.com noted that the destruction included significant damage to public infrastructure, with transport systems paralyzed in some areas. Reasons for canceling the China visit. President Prabowo's decision to cancel his trip to China was announced by State Secretary Minister Prasetyo Hadi in a video statement on August 30, 2025. Hadi cited the domestic situation dynamics as the primary reason, emphasizing that the president wished to remain in Indonesia to continue monitoring the situation directly and seek the best solutions. Prabowo also extended an apology to the Chinese government for his inability to attend the invitation. The cancellation was further influenced by the president's need to prepare for the upcoming United Nations General Assembly session in New York later in September, highlighting the competing demands on his schedule during this period of unrest. Former Indonesian Deputy Foreign Minister Dino Padi Jalal had publicly urged Prabowo to cancel the China visit, arguing that the president's presence was critical amid the escalating protests. In a post on X, Jalal stated, "Considering the still hot situation, the hearts of the people are in pain and anxious. I advise President Prabowo to cancel the visit to China next week." He suggested that Foreign Minister Sugiono represent Indonesia instead, underscoring that going abroad now is not important given the domestic turmoil. Government and public response. The protests have drawn significant attention to the government's handling of public grievances. House Speaker Puan Maharani faced criticism for not engaging with protest representatives, a decision that reportedly contributed to the escalation of unrest on August 28. Additionally, a parliament member named Seroni has faced backlash for dismissing critics of lawmakers' allowances as the stupidest people in the world, further inflaming public sentiment. In response to the protests, the Indonesian government summoned representatives from social media platforms, including Meta Platforms Inc. and TikTok, to strengthen content moderation due to concerns over disinformation fueling the unrest. TikTok, owned by China's ByteDance, announced on Saturday, August 30, 2025, that it had temporarily suspended its live streaming feature in Indonesia for a few days to curb the spread of inflammatory content. This move followed reports that protesters had used TikTok's live feature to broadcast the demonstrations, amplifying their reach. On the ground, President Prabowo has taken steps to address the unrest directly. He paid a condolence visit to the family of Afan Kurniawan, the motorcycle driver killed during the protests, signaling an effort to acknowledge public grief. Additionally, 16 Islamic social organizations met with Prabowo to discuss strategies for calming the demonstrations, reflecting the government's attempt to engage with community leaders to restore order. Broader implications. The protests represent a significant challenge for Prabowo's administration, which has been in power for less than a year. The combination of economic grievances, public distrust in lawmakers, and the tragic death of a young driver has created a volatile situation that tests the government's ability to manage dissent and maintain stability. The torching of parliament buildings and looting of lawmakers' homes indicate deep-seated frustration with the political establishment, raising questions about the government's next steps to address these concerns. The cancellation of the China trip also has diplomatic implications. The Victory Day parade in Beijing was expected to be a high-profile event attended by world leaders including Russian President Vladimir Putin, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Prabowo's absence may signal to international partners that Indonesia is prioritizing domestic stability over foreign engagements, potentially affecting bilateral relations with China in the short term. Current situation and outlook. As of August 31, 2025, protests continue across Indonesia, with demonstrators demanding accountability for lawmakers' pay and police actions. The government faces mounting pressure to address these grievances while preventing further violence and property damage. Security forces remain on high alert, with reports of ongoing clashes in several regions. The suspension of TikTok's live feature and increased content moderation on social media platforms indicate a broader effort to control the narrative and limit the spread of disinformation. President Prabowo's decision to remain in Indonesia underscores the gravity of the situation. His administration is expected to focus on de-escalating tensions, possibly through dialogue with protest leaders and reforms to address public concerns about lawmakers' compensation. The coming days will be critical in determining whether the government can restore calm and prevent further loss of life and property damage.